Good morning. Uh, just recently, we've had a series in the newspaper here in Arizona about they had an informant, someone who volunteered to be an informant as far as the drug shipments were concerned, and he offered to drive a truck and try to get big drug shipments working with law enforcement. So there's been a series of articles about how he managed to, well, for one thing, law enforcement stopped some of the people that he was working with and picked up a large shipment of drugs. I think it was cocaine. And I can't tell you how many big shipments of drugs have been picked up here in Phoenix, of marijuana or cocaine. So you can just imagine how many are going through, not picked up, that law enforcement never even touches. But anyway, through a series of moves, the people that were ripped off managed to get this informant off in a house, even though he was under the protection of law enforcement and they were following him around trying to keep him safe. They managed to get him off in a house and kill him. So I thought, boy, this story's going to discourage informants. They killed him, so that's the reward he got for becoming an informant. So we have a very big problem here, and Phoenix is one of the hubs where drugs apparently from Mexico come, and then they go across the country here and there. And at the same time, I live in a large complex, and here we're dealing with drug abuse or alcohol abuse on the level that affects the people directly. And recently we had a man in here who had been sober and straight, I would say, for quite a few years. He had a meltdown and was evicted and is now on the street. Well, to me, the most brutal
Wait a minute.
The most brutal place that anybody can end up
he had quite a few women
is on the street.
Bamboozled, okay?
Oh yeah, this was a very attractive guy. It affected a lot of people in here.
And it wasn't me, folks.
Oh yeah. It affected a lot of people. It upset them to think
Wasn't me. I didn't do it.
This very disillusioning thing could happen. In fact, I suspected that he might have started doing some illegal drugs just from seeing him one day almost fall down, and he wasn't drinking, and I thought, what is he doing? Is he doing drugs? And so I naturally doing drugs when you're a bad alcoholic is not a good thing to do. I mean, you're trying to stay sober because it's going to act as a trigger.
No, wait a minute.
Eventually.
You said a bad alcoholic.
Well, yeah, he was
Is
a
there
bad
good alcoholics or bad alcoholics?
Well, there's some alcoholics that just can't drink, they're going to die. They get to that point.
I see.
And he was one of them.
I see.
And so the only way he was going to live was to get sober.
So you're saying there is such a thing as
And,
a good alcoholic?
Well, I'd say you're still a pretty good alcoholic because you haven't even gone to the hospital yet. You haven't had your crisis. I've been waiting. But
keep a good thought, okay?
right, keep a good thought for your crisis. So anyway, I'd say he was in major crisis on the street, and we got a lot of homeless people around, and some of them are bound to be drug abusers and alcohol abusers. And boy, there is no place rougher than when you land in the street in Phoenix in the heat. Woo! So then you know that very long on the street is going to kill these people faster than they would say if they were in a more protected environment. But if they are too bad, they're going to get evicted wherever they go, and nobody's going to treat them either until they express shown that they want to sober up and be and start trying to be, well, more of a good citizen or model citizen. So I don't like to talk about this subject, but it is here in such affecting ways here in Arizona that we have to talk about it every now and then. We can't get away from it. And I have on my blog list the headlines of Arizona newspaper. Good Lord, I mean, you would think that horrible crime was being committed every 5 minutes here. But it's I'm sure it's just typical of a big city crime.
This could be one of those crimes happening right now.
Yeah, right. And so all the little tragedies that are involved with alcohol and drugs don't even make the headlines if they don't involve murder and suicide and, you know, the extremes. So it's just like we're all have to be involved. And, you know, and I've recently taken up the idea that people need to talk. They need to talk a lot more. And they need to talk about what does drive them to criminal, doing drugs illegally, and and drinking alcohol to excess. I mean, to me, the way to prevent this is for our society to become more articulate, more communicative, and all the things that keep us from communicating with each other are contributing. Like too much TV. This is why I recently decided to give up TV, just because TV serves, professionally, it serves just a few people. Look at our Emmys. Every year, the same people win. They go on for years winning. So there's just a little group of people that's actually doing the TV, and all the rest of us are watching it. Well, this is not good for people.
I don't watch the
them.
Emmys. Never have. Never will.
Yeah, the Emmys are, well, they just show you
any of that stuff.
Right, and I've always thought that there's way too few celebrities and way too many people just watching. They're not taking a more important part in the society.
Well, Bill Cosby says that right now.
Does he?
That's why he's doing all of these little things around the United States.
He's talking to people.
Talking to groups. Yeah, see if you can get hooked up.
Well, very good. Bill, I don't need to. He's too famous. I don't hook up to any celebrities believing that they have gotten way more probably than their share of attention and fame. And I just try to spend my time with unknown people who need to talk.
Well, I'm about as unknown as you can get.
Yeah, well, I've spent some time with you, but now I'm spreading out to talking to a lot more people, younger. I just sit down under the trees and I just talk to everybody that comes along, everybody, and every day. And I think that I'm going to do more in that, and I'll be talking about that in months to come of what result comes of this. What? So, all to me is not lost. It's not lost. We just have to be more active in what we do about this problem.